I'm in Sevilla. And I'm here for a month to explore this fascinating culinary city and try classics like churros, mouth-watering oxtail, life-changing jamón bellota, and plenty in between. Let's go. All right, it's time for some classic tapas. We're here at Bodega Santa Cruz. Now, this is a bodega. Many of them are open while restaurants are closed for siesta during the day. So this is a great place to come get a few snacks. It's super casual. Most of the service is just at the bar, and you find a place to sit. This is a tapa de calamar. It's calamari fried with a little bit of alioli on the side and some chips. A little bit crunchy, soft, nice fried batter on the outside. Super simple, doesn't have a lot of seasoning on it, so you're really tasting just the calamari, and the alioli is nice. And here we have the fried anchovies. Look how crispy, breaded, and fried. I can already smell that anchovy scent. Oh, I love these so much. So good. The bones are so soft. These anchovies are not pickled, so you're really just tasting that flaky white fish. Delicious. You guys, what is absolutely breathtaking and what I didn't quite grasp before coming here was the Seville orange trees. All of the trees are just full of bunches and bunches of oranges. It's so beautiful. Look at this. I've never seen an orange tree this full of oranges. The Seville oranges are actually too sour to consume on their own, so that's where you get the Seville orange marmalade that you've probably heard of. Seville is well known for its many festivals and parades. We're here in early January in time for one of its biggest events, the Three Kings Parade, or Cabalgata de Reyes Magos. I'm being pelted by candy. Every now and then you actually catch one. Lemon. It was so quiet, and we were wondering where the fun starts to happen, and out of nowhere, chaos ensues. There's candy flying, there's people cheering, there's bands playing. This is actually really, really fun, as long as I don't get a candy in my eyeball. I got a little bag of voodoo dolls. They advised me to take them to a church first.
Échale agua bendita.
Agua bendita, ok. Gracias.
Que se la vas a tocar con la mano izquierda.
Solamente. Vale.
Tabla Iberica.
Gracias. Now that the parade is over, we stopped at a tapas bar and we got this lovely tapa. It's salmorejo, which is a thicker, almost like a gazpacho, Iberian ham and quail eggs. Each bite, each square has its own quail egg on it. The salmorejo is nice, garlicky, tomatoey, a really nice tang to it. That Iberian ham is salty, fatty. Look at the egg dripping, just filling the bread that's under. Toasted bread. The quail eggs really just taste like a regular egg, just a little tiny version. Tomate Aliñado, marinated tomatoes with tuna on top. They made it kind of like a rosette, like a flower. What a beautiful presentation. Oh man, after waiting for that parade for about an hour and a half, this is exactly what I wanted. drenched in olive oil, vinegar. So it's got that beautiful tang. The tomatoes are so fresh. Oregano, fresh cracked salt on top. The tuna here is delicious, but it also adds a protein component. All right, I think the way to go is just eating it all in one bite.
Una 41 está libre para 2 personas.
A little messy, but that's how you do it. All right, I'm gonna dunk this last piece of bread into the oil and vinegar of the tomato. The dry oregano has just started to hydrate in the vinegar, so you're getting more oregano flavor. Pulpo a la plancha, it's grilled octopus in olive oil. It's got some salt on it and some paprika. Tender, got that saltiness, a little bit of that paprika flavor, not too much. The quality of the olive oil is delicious. It's very light. It's a light, fruity olive oil, not very strong, very bitter or piquant. It's only a complement to the overall dish. I can't stress this enough. When you come to Sevilla, see as much flamenco as possible. There are a ton of places where you can watch flamenco live in Spain and, of course, Seville. But this is a truly unique experience. This place is a bar that has flamenco as a performance right here, center stage, but it's totally analog. There's no speakers, there's no wires and other instruments other than a guitar, a singer, and a flamenco dancer. It is a one-of-a-kind experience and you have to see it for yourself. It's free to get in, just buy a drink. We got ourselves a bottle of wine and leave a tip at the end. The show's about to start. It's time to try the iconic jamón bellota. Alberto, a Mesones del Serranito, was eager to explain this delicacy.
Cerdo ibérico es una raza, claro. Y luego tiene jamón de bellota, una especie de fruto seco, ¿vale? Que comen los cerdos ibéricos en las dehesas, que las dehesas es donde los cerdos, digamos, están encerrados y ahí pues comen la bellota. Y luego tiene jamón ibérico, que es de la misma raza, pero cuando no hay bellota, porque el árbol, ¿vale?, que es el alcornoque, no da bellota, pues entonces le echan pienso, que es el cerdo. Eso es lo que comen, claro. Y el jamón, el mejor jamón ese es el que es de bellota. Ibérico es la raza del cerdo, que se da por Extremadura y Huelva, que es el autóctono de allí. Es un cerdo de color gris negro.
Ajá, okay.
Un buen jamón tiene que tener su tocino, bastante tocino, para que el jamón coja ese sabor. Esa pintita es, y aquí también la ves en medio, eso es de la bellota.
The more fat and marbling the pig has, the more flavor it imparts of that nuttiness, earthy aroma. It's like room temperature butter. Melts instantly.
Esto es típico de Sevilla, es vino de naranja.
So Alberto is having us try an orange wine, unique to Sevilla, and it's made from the Seville oranges. Oh, whoa. Okay, it's sweet, it's like a liqueur. Very caramelized orange flavor, a slight bitter note on the back end, light syrupiness to it, almost like you could pour it over a cake. Wow, very good. Bien rico.
Puedes tomarlo como aperitivo en vez del vermú o como postre.
Ok, vale. Ahora lo quiero probar con el jamón. This sweet, kind of syrupy orange with the jamón bellota. Oh. We're here at Bodeguita Antonio Romero for a special sandwich unique to Seville. This is called the Piripi, Amontillado. And Amontillado in Spain is these small sandwiches. But this one has a thin layer of pork, cheese, tomato, bacon, and alioli, which is a Spanish mayonnaise. Wow, that's really good. What really makes it is the alioli. It has garlic in it, and you just get this beautiful, fragrant flavor of garlic in that mayonnaise, followed by the pork, very thin slice, and a nice, refreshing slice of tomato in there with a little bit of bacon to add smokiness to it. And all this together, we're talking €3, €2, €5 altogether for a decent lunch if you don't want something too big or too heavy in this beautiful restaurant. Look at that crispy bacon edge. Oh my gosh.
Tortillita de Camarónes.
Gracias. This is a tortillita de camarón, a batter with tiny shrimp inside of it, whole tiny shrimp, and some seasonings. Looks like maybe some parsley. It reminds me of the bacalaitos that we have in Puerto Rico. They're these thin fritters just like this, but they're filled with bacalao instead of the shrimp. Tastes just like the island. The shrimps are so crispy. Yeah, I just got more parsley. Oh man, and just a little bit doughy in the center. Look at that. Addicting too. Alcachofa, it's an artichoke tapa. Just simple brined artichokes and a little bit of alioli on a bed of lettuce. Super simple. This is just a nice, lightly brined artichoke. Gracias. Higado de Bacalao, cod liver on a little bread toast. That meat looks really, really delicate and soft. I've never had this before. Okay. Interesting flavor. It tastes like caviar. It's salty, briny, a little bit of the fishiness aftertaste, but honestly, it's not as pungent as I expected it to be. And I think it's because it's been either boiled or braised, but it's very soft, almost like a paste, a pate, cured or brined in olive oil. Champiñon estilo de la casa. So it looks like this is like a large button mushroom, and it appears to have like a filling in it of some sort. It looks like that's alioli on top. Delicious. Slow poached mushroom, the entire cap, and I don't think there's any meat in there. It might just be the meat of the mushroom itself, and then that nice ladle of alioli on top to cover it. It's so good, so delicate. The mushroom is cooked just till done. It still has that juiciness of a button mushroom. It's actually been breaded. That's kind of that, what looks like minced meat. There's some breading on the cap of the mushroom. Oh, it's like a baby portobello. Delicious. Seville is the capital of the southernmost region of Spain, Andalusia. Nestled between the Atlantic and Mediterranean Sea, this region has a wealth of fresh seafood. Sometimes the energy of a place just calls you in and you cannot say no. This is Bodega Paco Gongora. They specialize in seafood. Immediately we're met with one of the servers who really, they run the place as if it's their own, and they're just so like welcoming. Here we have a sherry, Amontillado, of the house, and they come in these casks where they're pouring them directly out of it. This is nice and cold. Olives that are actually coming from the owner's farm. Look at the size of these things. And they've been cracked. And the cracking actually allows the brine to seep into the olive a little easier and give it more flavor while also allowing that pit to come out. The brine has almost like an effervescent sensation to it. Ay, gracias. The place inside, by the way, is busy. And there's no tables really. It's kind of like a salon, but you kind of want to sometimes just be in the middle of everything, everybody passing by. That's like the energy of the place that I love so much in these bodegas. Look at that dark caramel color. Oh, the scent is really, really nice. Almost like a port, a caramelly scent. It's more like an aged apple flavor. A little bit of caramel, but it's not sweet. Delicious. These are the fried anchovies. Come on now. These are in season right now. Fresh lemon juice on top. Once again, you just eat the whole fish. You don't have to worry about the bones. More protein, calcium. Oh. Hot. So fresh. Perfectly breaded, just tossed in a flour breading. The simplicity in these tapas is what really makes them so delicious. That light coating of flour breading on there. You really get to appreciate the flavor of the anchovy. Ay, qué rico. Gambas a la plancha, they're cooked on a flat top. A little bit of dousing of some coarse salt on there. I'm gonna go for the head first. Such concentrated oceanic flavor right here in the head of the shrimp. It's the shrimp butter. So good. Oh, so soft, delicate, sweet. This is an oyster mushroom. Look at the size of these mushrooms. Doused with a salsa verde, which is garlic, parsley, olive oil. Amazing. Tender. Nice crunch, a heartiness to that flavor and that bite of the mushroom. And the salsa verde adds the garlic, the parsley, just pretty much everything that it needs to make it a complete dish. Just kind of crisped enough on the grill to give it a little crispy bit of an edge, but not too much. They really want you to taste that meatiness, the umami flavor of the mushroom. Always keep an eye out for Vermú de la casa or Vermú casera. They use their own herbs, spices to fortify this wine. All right, last thing we're having here is the adobo, the seasoned marinated fish. So the fish is marinated, then breaded, then fried. Sorry, it's really hot. Wow. The seasoning in here, garlic, lime juice, cumin, probably oregano, but those three definitely in there. Salt, of course. The flavor is fantastic. Flaky white fish. Oh. Wow. This place is awesome. You gotta come here. Bodega Paco Gongora.
The colorful, narrow lanes of Seville are a sight in and of themselves. We followed them to the Casco Antiguo neighborhood to visit a local favorite.
Lunchtime in Seville. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon right now. The sun is out. We're at a local spot. This is called Casa M. Gracias. These are the Gambas al Ajillo, a classic tapas dish here in Spain. Normally they're about half the size, but these are quite large. The gambas, or the shrimp, are sitting in a infused olive oil that's been cooked in this cazuela with garlic and chili peppers, dry chili peppers. Adding a little bit of salt to them, but really it's almost like a confit of the gambas. Instantly, you taste that fragrance of the garlic, a slight hint of piquant spiciness from the dry chili pepper, and the shrimp is so tender. See, there are these small little red chilies in there, and they pack a punch, but they also have their own flavor. And when it's fried with the gambas and the shrimp, it creates a wonderful infusion in that olive oil almost immediately. The shrimp meat is so delicate that when you cook it in something like this, all the flavor just absorbs into the shrimp meat. So you taste the garlic, a little bit of salty, that chili, all the way through the meat of the fish. Gracias. Whoa. A classic dish of Seville, the Solomillo al Whisky. And it's either served as a plate or like this in a sandwich called Amontillado. It's a loin of pork or beef sliced thin and essentially cooked in a gravy made with whiskey. And when they serve it to you, they pour that gravy over it, so it makes it extra juicy. Oh my gosh, this bread is really, really soft. Oh. Vinegary, tangy, a little bit salty, but it's not a whiskey flavor per se. It's really the essence of the whiskey because the alcohols are cooked out, so you're not tasting like straight whiskey. And the way that they cook it gets a little bit thick, so it glazes the meat. The bread is so soft. They've toasted it on both sides, and that gravy just soaks into the bread. And this meat, it's so thin, but they managed to cook it still medium. So it's actually quite soft. Look at the gravy, how it's just fallen to the bottom here. Coating these chips, it's so rich. Oh, this dish is a must, for sure. I want to soak up this whiskey sauce. You definitely don't want to waste that. This is going to be a good bite. You have to dip bread into this garlic chili oil. My goodness. It almost makes the shrimp an afterthought. Just like this. Wow. The bread that they give you soaks up that oil so well. This is kind of like a water bread, so it has a lot of aeration to it and not too doughy, where you can really get all those flavors infused and soaked into the bread. This is a white wine from the Rueda region. It's a Verdejo grape, slightly dry, just a little bit. Some of them are more juicy than others, but generally it's a really great white wine to have with tapas. They serve it to you cold. You can see how sunny it is out here. My forehead is cooking in the sun right now, but I don't even care. Part of being in Sevilla is eating outside, al fresco, having a glass of wine. This is all just part of the culture, and they really hook you up with the proper beverages to keep you cool.
Bullfighting has been a significant part of Seville culture for hundreds of years, and the tradition is still alive. I met back with Alberto at Mesones del Serranito to learn more.
Aquí estamos en el Mesón Serranito de la calle Antonia Díaz, llevamos abierto 43 años, estamos muy cerca de la Plaza de Toro, de la Maestranza, y bueno, aquí tenemos un poco la decoración, que es todo taurino, ¿vale? Traje cabezas de toro, tenemos aquí también varias reliquias que tiene el dueño del restaurante, que ha ido reuniendo todo durante toda su vida. Esos son dos banderillas, ¿vale?, que se le ponen a los toros durante la lidia. Tenemos ahí a Paco Ojeda, luego tenemos aquí trajes de torero míticos de Sevilla. Este traje es para montar a caballo, se llama traje de corto. Traje diferente al del toreo, pero también es para montar a caballo y se utiliza en las ferias y demás. El sombrero se llama sombrero de arancha. Se hizo el serranito más grande del mundo, ¿vale?, y cruzó el puente de Triana y batió el récord mundial. Wow. Aquí tenemos otro traje también que se utiliza en la Plaza de Toro, que es el traje de picador. Los picadores son los que van con la pica y a caballo y pican al toro. Aquí tenemos al mítico Curro Romero, que fue, yo creo que ha sido uno de los toreros más famosos. Luego ahí tenemos el sombrero y las picas, que van con el traje de picador. Estas son las marcas, digamos, que es de las ganaderías. Con esto marcan a los toros y según cada marca pertenece a una ganadería diferente. Esto de aquí abajo es una representación, pues, de los toros, digamos, en el campo, ¿vale? Está hecho con azulejo, esto lo hacen a mano. Aquí una representación de la salida a la Plaza de Toros, cuando salen los toreros, para empezar la lidia de los toros. Aquí ya el torero lidiando, y aquí detrás está el picador a caballo que expliqué antes. Y esto es ya cuando el toro se ha lidiado y está muerto, pues se lo llevan, digamos, los muleros, que son los chiquillos, y las mulas, son como los caballos, pero más fuertes, pues se lo llevan ya al toro lidiado.
¿Se comen el toro entero?
El toro, sí, luego el toro, digamos que sí, es despiezado y luego se come, claro. El toro está muy buena, la carne de toro, muy rica. Sí. Las corridas de toros siempre suelen ser a las 6 de la tarde. Entonces la gente viene antes a comer, por ejemplo aquí a este restaurante, come y tal, toman su aperitivo, luego van a los toros y cuando acaban los toros vienen a cenar. Aquí han venido muchos toreros también.
¿Y esta plaza de toro todavía tiene corridas?
Sí. Las corridas se suelen hacer en lo que es la feria de Sevilla, que es en abril. Luego duran más o menos en junio, hay otras corridas, y en septiembre, que se llama la feria de San Miguel, hay 3 días de corrida importante también.
¿Y tú has visitado una corrida?
No he tenido la ocasión, pero espero que mi jefe me invite este año.
Sí. Gracias.
Ahí va, de nada.
Alberto gave us a fantastic tour of the restaurant, and we're gonna have a few dishes here. We're gonna try el toro itself, starting out with a little bit of sherry. This is a manzanilla sherry. It smells delightful. It's got a very floral, almost sweet scent to it. Delicious. A little bit grassy, a little bit earthy. The scent is sweet, but the actual flavor is not sweet at all. You can tell this is really tasty with fattier cuts of meat. Jamón Iberico, the rabo de toro, which we're gonna have in a moment. So we're starting out with a salmorejo. This is a typical dish of Andalusia, typically served with little bits of jamón iberico and boiled egg. Tomatoey, creamy, a lovely tanginess to it. It's similar to a gazpacho in that it's a cold soup, but the salmorejo is thicker, so you get a little bit more of a rich, concentrated flavor. Ooh. I'm definitely getting garlic, almost like raw garlic. It has this beautiful orange, salmon colored from those ripe tomatoes that are used to make it. And it's just so thick, it's very hearty. It's very hot here most of the year, so a cold soup like this is very, very refreshing. The wine even is served quite cold, and the beers are served ice cold as well as the sherries. Gracias. This is the oxtail, or rabo de toro. Oh, look how tender this meat is. You don't even need a knife. They serve it to you with a spoon because it is so soft. The fragrance coming off of here is just incredible. The browning of the meat, creating the gravy that's been cooked with the carrots, like a mirepoix almost. There's no celery in here like a French mirepoix, but you have those vegetables that brown in there with the meat as it's roasting, and then you create that stew broth out of this world. The fat of the oxtail just becomes so soft, a gelatinous flavor. I also really like how they serve it with French fries so that you can soak up all of that gravy. The French fries become soggy in the gravy, just absorbing all that flavor. All right, I think we got one last big chunk of the oxtail meat here. I'm just gonna pick up this bone and go right in for it. So rich, so much deep flavor. I'm gonna tell you right now, forget about the fork and the knife and the spoon, just pick up the bones and eat them. It's surreal to see the bull heads sitting right up on the walls, all this memorabilia. That's exactly what we're having right here. The bull tail. I can only imagine what the rest of the bull tastes like, because when the bull gives its life, they actually do eat the entire bull head to tail. I don't really know how I feel about bullfighting and seeing that in person, but one thing is for sure, this is part of the culture here. It's fascinating. This is their history. Some of the most revered athletes in Spanish culture, and to be sitting in a bar having bull tail is just a one-of-a-kind experience, and this is absolutely delicious. The bustle of Bar Arenal, which is just a few doors down from Mesón Serranito, just called us in. This is another bar full of bullfighting memorabilia. I'm sticking with the sherry. This is a fino. Once again, light, crisp, refreshing. Look how cold this glass is. Look how big these olives are. These are some of the biggest olives I've ever seen. Vinegary, slight pungent bitterness to them. This is how they keep the glassware so cold. So not only is the beer cold when it comes out of the draft, but they've also have the cups frosting in ice water before they serve it to you. We're at Bodega Díaz Salazar. This is an iconic place. It's been open since 1908. So this place originally opened as a liquor and wine wholesaler. You have these casks that are still here that represent that time of when it was a wholesale bar and then slowly became a tapas bar. I'm having a sherry Amontillado where you can see how much darker and almost sweeter, if you look at it just based on this caramel color, it might be versus the manzanilla. Ooh, nutty, deeper flavor of that straw, still dry, but slightly juicier. Oh, it has like an oaky aftertaste. Delicious. If you like the manzanilla and want something a little bit more rich and a little bit more subdued, soft on the palate, but still dry, this would be it. Gracias. Garbanzos con espinaca. Spinach and garbanzos, a classic Andalusian tapa. And I'm actually just gonna go right in with the bread. Just as they serve it, look at all that spinach. It looks actually quite healthy, nutritious. Wow. The rich spinach in combination with cumin, and then you have that bite of the garbanzo beans is such a lovely combination. There is a lot of cumin in here, a lot of spinach, but the spinach is cooked down so much that it's soft. It's almost melts in your mouth. That bread is also really, really good. This crusty, buttered bread, spinach and garbanzo beans. So hearty. I really like the spinach in combination with the garbanzos together. That one bite is perfect. Oh, that flavor of the Amontillado sherry, chasing it after this is perfect. That richness of flavor with the cumin and the spinach, a match made in heaven. All my life, sherry wine has been something I associate with cooking or a sherry vinegar, not something that you enjoy in a glass and much less at lunchtime. I will be having more sherry in the States and appreciating it much more as an accompaniment to a dish, just like you would have a red or a white wine. Here we have a Solomillo al Ajo, and you've heard me talk about Solomillo al Whisky on this video, but what's different on this one is that it actually wasn't made with whiskey. It's made with white wine. So rich. The garlic has been softened and cooked down to like its bare essence. Tender. The pork has been grilled. So full of flavor. You can taste that reduced, cooked down wine in there. They don't even peel the garlic cloves. They leave them in that garlic skin.
We came to get some coffee at this really cozy coffee shop called Ojik, One and Only. It's a Korean espresso bar. I got their signature Seoul Latte. This is so cute with the caramel writing on top. I usually get black coffee, but every now and then I like to indulge in something like this. So creamy with delicate foam and just enough caramel to give it almost a dulce de leche flavor. I'm convinced there are so many coffee shops in Seville, you can go to a new one every day.
Ojik. Significa unifico. En inglés, one and only.
One and only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ojik.
Ojik.
Sí.
Vale. Okay. Muchas gracias.
Bye, gracias.
Buen día.
Igualmente.
Getting up and out the door early will reward you with front row views of Seville's most iconic spots before the crowds arrive. One of the sights you have to see when you're in Seville is the Plaza de España. The plaza's shape, bridges, and alcoves all represent Spain's history. I normally like to come here in the mornings, sometime before 11 a.m. It's so quiet, it's peaceful, it's wonderful to take photos. It's really just breathtaking out here. The plaza is located inside El Parque de María Luisa. It's also a sprawling botanical park filled with parrots, ducks, and tons of exotic plants. It is a gorgeous morning today in Seville. The sun is out. There are no clouds outside. I wanted to bring you guys to one of my favorite coffee shops in the city, and I'm a little bit biased because this one is actually about 10 steps away from my apartment. Today I'm going with their Colombia roast, which is actually roasted in Madrid. So delicate. It's fruity, a little bit of light raspberry, this buttery texture to it without being heavy, and then a little bit of brightness, like a passion fruit brightness. It's so tasty. As you probably know, paella is one of the most beloved and must-try dishes in Spain. It's from the Valencia region. Sevillanos love paella though. It's often served at tapas bars in small plates, but I'm gonna take you to a place that specializes in paella valenciana. Qué rico, gracias. Look at this beauty. I love the little sprig of rosemary there on top, but the color of the rice, that brownish red from that caramelized tomato. So this is the authentic Paella Valenciana. It's got artichokes, flat green beans, chicken, rabbit. You know it instantly. The rice is chewy, has a slight crunch to it. It's not too vegetable-y, not too tomato-y. Oh, it has such a rustic flavor. I believe I've got a cut of the chicken here. Juicy, falls right off the bone, has been infused with all the flavors of the seasoning in the paella. Oh, let's get some artichoke and some rice. Oh, you can see a little bit of that, those darker pieces of rice. That right there is called the socorat. It's the crispy bottom that forms in the paella pan as the rice is cooking. The artichoke melts in your mouth. These are the flat green beans that are traditional of the Paella Valenciana. They're so good. They have a little bit of a tanginess to them, earthy, a very unique green bean flavor that you actually don't get in like traditional haricot vert green beans that we know mostly. This has a very unique flavor to it. Rice came over to Spain with the Moorish people back in the 700s. And with the climate of Valencia, a lot of the land is farmland. So over time, this dish was created using animals from the farm, the rabbit, the chicken, the green beans as the vegetable, the artichoke, all things that grow out on farm pastures. This is true paella. Oh, here's the socorat. You see that dark, crunchy rice, those grains that look like they've just been cooking in all the flavors of the paella? That's the gold right there. This is Arroz Caldoso. It's a dish known all over the Iberian Peninsula. and this is Valencia style. It's different than the paella because it has more liquid. Arroz Caldoso literally just translates to brothy rice, so you can see that right there. I am kind of cold out here, so this is a perfect winter dish. So seafoody. So much more seafood flavor than I was envisioning. Wow. Has that salty brininess of the ocean, the shrimp, the mussels, all infused in there. And I don't know what greens these are in here, but they're a really nice touch. Look how that rice just sat in the mussel while it was cooking. Oh, yeah. The rice totally encapsulated inside the shell of the mussel. Even saltier, brinier with the flavor of that mussel in there. It's almost as if part of the broth in here is salt water itself. Definitely not too salty, but just that infusion of flavor tastes so natural. I saved my last bite for the shrimp. That is a really nice sized juicy piece of shrimp. Juicy, sweet, flavorful. It's absorbed that broth. I'm glad I saved that one to the end. Seville really comes alive at night. We spent several nights at this jazz club near our rental. They have live jazz every night of the week. The shows are free. Just be sure to tip the artists. We're up bright and early Thursday morning to visit Seville's oldest weekly market.
It's a sprawling market, different vendors of all kinds of things. There's antiques, there's new things, there's trinkets, clothes. There's just people everywhere. I can't believe this has been the same market in this same location since the 1200s. Hola! Okay, and at the end of the market, there's a coffee shop that I actually wanted to come to. They serve Greek coffees here. Elenico Sketo, Greek coffee unsweetened. Obviously, they'll sweeten it also. They do ask you, but I like it unsweetened. It's so good. Delicious. It tastes just like the coffee you have in Greece. Ciao! A cold morning like today. I have been waiting for a day like this to do this with you guys. A iconic Spanish breakfast classic that has been tradition for hundreds of years. Churros. Let's go get some.
Dame dos chocolates, dame una. Vale.
Una orden de churro y chocolate, por favor.
Vale.
This place is bustling, full of locals. We were actually hinted to this place by another local yesterday.
Vale. Santi, una fritita, dos con leche.
Oh my gosh, look at these churros pulled right out of the fryer just a second ago. Oh my god, they're so warm and crunchy. Whole cup of chocolate. They actually asked us if they wanted 2 cups. I guess everybody pretty much will go through this entire mug of chocolate on their own. Wow. That looks so good. First churro in Sevilla. Doughy, pillowy, the lightest amount of crispiness on the outside, just like a shell, and then it's doughy and soft in the center. Wow, that is so much tastier than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be very heavy, very sweet, but it is actually so delicate, and the chocolate is just sweet enough as it needs to be, nothing more. Just look at the inside, all those air bubbles inside the churro. 70% air, and then just the dough. A slight bit of saltiness to give it a little bit of flavor, and then dipping it into that chocolate. Wow. I see why the locals come here every morning. Even without the chocolate, they're good.
Yes, this place is local. It's been here for who knows how long. But it also happens to be by one of the most touristed sites in the area, which is Las Setas. So this is a gathering ground in the middle of Seville. It gets so hot in the summers that people need some shaded area to hang out, and this is where they come. And the Setas, which translates to the mushrooms, wasn't that to begin with. It actually had a much more formal name, but as the Spanish do, they give nicknames to everything, and they lovingly renamed this Las Setas, and that is what it goes by now. It does look like a canopy of mushrooms. It's so beautiful. It's the biggest structure in the world made entirely of wood. As soon as you walk under here, you can feel how much cooler it is. Okay, so I want to show you guys something. It's very easy to miss because it's under Las Setas, and that is Mercado de Encarnación. It's a farmer's food market. And this place has been here long before Las Setas was here. It used to be an open air market. Oh, look at this. Check this out. Look at the size of these tomatoes. I have not seen tomatoes of this size. Look at these. This is how you can tell that this is not just a tourist market. They're selling raw ingredients here. Wow, you can even order your chicken and they'll break it up for you right here. And these here coming up are my favorite shops in the markets. The hanging meats, the chacinas, stuffed, cured meats. Lomo, the jamón bellota, the sausages. Wow, look how thinly sliced that is. He's gonna give me a little bit to try. So thin. Gracias. Jamón de pata negra. Wow.
No, sí,
El tocino está que se derrite como mantequilla.
Eso es la historia, por eso es pata negra.
How carefully and methodically he slices the cheese. It's almost meditative. Juan Carlos and his wife Rosa told us to come over here to this bar and just let them know Juan Carlos sent us to have some wine while we enjoy our jamón and queso. First of all, look at this pour. You cannot take this for granted, which I almost did just now. A big, heavy pour, and it's only going to be about 2 to 3 euros at the most. Oh, smells wonderful. And I just asked for vino tinto. I let them know we're having some jamón and queso, and she recommended a wine. I let her pour me whatever she feels. It's probably a Rioja Tempranillo. It has that earthy, soil-like grittiness to the flavor. Dries out your palate, which is going to be perfect for the jamón and the cheese. This is the pata negra, which means it is 100% Iberian pig breed, and it has been fed acorns its entire life, as opposed to some other, the mixed breeds that get fed half grain, half acorn. This is 100% acorn. That nutty flavor is the first thing that hits you. The fat melts away immediately. The marbling through the meat means there's no toughness whatsoever. It's so soft. This is the most even marbling I've seen in any of the jamons that we've had since we've been here. Wow. It's delightful. Oh, that's the one to go with it. This jamón brings out a fruitiness in this wine, almost like dark berries, cherries. And even though it's dry, you can get those flavor fruity notes out of it with the contrast of the nuttiness of the jamón. Wow. So the cheese was recommended by Juan Carlos to not be a very firm, hard, salty, peppery cheese, a more gentle, semi-firm cheese like this Payoyo here. It's creamy, a little bit tangy. It's a goat cheese. Wow. But it's not too strong. He said you don't want anything too strong because you're going to kill the flavor of the jamón. And I see it. It totally complements it. It doesn't overpower the palate. I can take a sip of wine. Yeah. And it totally cleanses the palate, resets you for another bite of jamón. Look how thin he cut it. You could almost see through it. That even marbling, the expertise that he took, it's almost like he could have done it with his eyes closed.
What a beautiful church. There's so many that you can just pop into. This one is really special. It has a convent attached to it where the nuns make sweets. So there's one right here, and let's go inside and try some sweets made by nuns. Hola, ¿tienes naranjitos hoy? Sí. Por favor, una. Muchas gracias. Gracias, gracias. One of the great things they make here are naranjitos sevillanos. Let's try one. The dense chewiness from the marzipan and the Sevilla orange comes through so nicely. It's on top, but it's also been layered in the batter as well. So good. This convent was actually first founded in Triana, which is on the opposite side of the Guadalquivir River that runs through Sevilla. After a flood, the convent was actually destroyed, and Queen Isabella donated this parcel of land to them so that they could make a new convent here in the Jewish quarter. This convent has been here since 1495. Pop in, get yourself a dessert, bring cash, and just really taste a piece of history, a long-standing tradition of Sevilla. Okay, and I'm gonna make your guys' life a little easier while exploring Sevilla. Right next to the convent is Bar Candelaria, and I wanna show you guys something, a little staple of tapas sevillanas. Hola, por favor, 2 cañas y una ensalada rusa, tapa, por favor. All right, this is a classic quick tapa that you see in most of the bars and the bodegas here. This is Ensaladilla Rusa, or Russian salad. And from what I've read, it's potato, carrot, and possibly tuna in there, but I haven't had it before, so let's see. It looks like it has tuna in it. A lot of mayonnaise, for sure. Yummy. It's a refreshing, potato-y, tuna, creamy flavor that you get instantly. It's very good. If you like tuna salad or potato salad, this is like that beautiful hybrid of both. That's really good. And I was reading that because Sevilla gets so hot that this is just a very cooling, refreshing tapa that people like to enjoy. Wow, that has a really good flavor. It looks like it has a little bit even of slight pimentón. It has a nice color to it. Bite-sized pieces of potato. The tuna strewn in there, very lightly feathery. And just enough carrot to give it a little bit of a crunch. I got a caña. When you ask for a caña, this is what it is, a small beer, ice cold, and it's always going to be Cruz Campo, which comes right from the tap. This is a beer that originated here in Sevilla. Light, crisp lager, easy drinking, refreshing. These are like extra super salted. It looks like they were salted while they're roasted. So the salt is actually adhered to the peanut shell. How to keep you drinking all day? Serve peanuts. This is a bakery that I've actually been seeing around town where they've been delivering bread and stuff to different businesses, and we just came across the actual bake shop. It's called Crustum. Hola. Hola. Por favor, una empanada de pisto y una de chorizo picante. And this one is of spicy chorizo, and they warmed it up for us. The crust looks so buttery. Tomatoey. Wow, the vegetables have been braised, cooked down so they're totally soft. It tastes like zucchini, eggplant, onion, and that thick concentrated tomato base. Pisto is like a Spanish ratatouille. It's almost like a concentrated vegetable stew. And the crust is very flaky, very buttery. Let me save this one. But real quick, I want to try the chorizo. This one's chunky. Chorizo picante, spicy chorizo. Obviously much different in flavor. The chorizo's nice and spicy. There's onion in there, cayenne pepper. Oh, delicious. All of their breads here are made without preservatives. Fresh daily. You can really taste that rustic, handmade flavor. I also got a bread to take home to have with some olive oil and vinegar later. This is a country style loaf.
beautiful loaf of bread. Wow. All right, we're at Casa Morales. This is a little place I wanted to take you that I've had my eye on. And look just behind me, the vats of wine that they have here. As you can see, the bar is really busy right now, so you kind of have to just find a little spot to get in and order your food. So they do offer house vermouth here. Look at this perfect small little glass. Small sips, wets the palate, opens up your appetite. All right, so the tapa we got here is alcachofas, or artichokes, that you definitely have to have when you're in Seville. But these artichokes are marinated and served with baby eels on top. They're hot. They're really hot. Very smooth, very mild. You have that texture of a very soft artichoke, almost potatoey, and the eels, you honestly really don't taste them at all. It just kind of tastes like noodles. It comes with like a green sauce on top, almost like a pesto, and a little bit of potato on the bottom. Another legendary bar, Bodeguita Romero. We managed to get a seat at the bar, so here we're sitting, but the place is packed, full of people everywhere. The servers are just running up and down all over the counter, all around the restaurant, getting the orders to everybody. Having lunch in Spain is really like a marathon. It's a little bit exhausting, but very exciting, which makes sense why you have the siesta afterwards. You come in and hustle and bustle, you're eating, you're this and that, it's all over the place, there's people everywhere. You eat till you're full or just about full, and then you go home and take a nap. It's the best. Papa Aliñada. That's marinated potatoes. Look how much olive oil is on these. Who knows how long they've been sitting marinating in that olive oil with some green peppers. I think I see a little bit of garlic or green onion. What a delicate aroma. It smells like there's some vinegar in there too. Let's see. Vinegary. The potato's been boiled, soft. Oh, you have a little bit of that kick from the green peppers. Definitely green onion. And the olive oil just dresses it, gives it some creaminess. These are like small, like Yukon yellow potatoes. I see these a lot in the bodegas, but I haven't had it yet. I understand why this is so popular. Oh, wow. All right, guys, this is something I've been waiting to try here. These are almejas. They're clams cooked in what looks like a wine and garlic sauce. Salty, garlicky, buttery, and then they have some kind of maybe white wine or sherry that they've been cooked in, and a beautiful infusion of this toasted garlic. I just want to bite of this on its own. Wow. Wow. I don't know what's better, the clams or the garlic. I'm going to go ahead and scoop a little bit. Oh, look at that. Oh man, that robust flavor of the garlic completes this dish. These are the costillas Iberica en salsa de tomate. Iberian pig riblets in tomato sauce. Meaty, fatty, and so much more soft and tender than I anticipated. That came right off the bone. The tomato sauce is a very rustic style tomato sauce, a little bit chunky. It's got the herbs and spices in there. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien, gracias. ¿Qué ponemos? Quiero un fino para tomar, para beber. ¿Fino? Sí.
¿Vale? Dos, por favor. ¿Dos?
Riojo Rivera.
Oído ración.
So we're at Casa Ricardo. This place is iconic in this neighborhood of San Lorenzo. We're here for the croquetas. And one more thing that I have yet to try while I've been here in Sevilla that is an iconic tapa, the pringa. All right, so I'm starting with a sherry. This is a fino, super light crisp. It smells like fresh sliced apples. Delicious. Dry, crisp. We got here just in time. This place opens at 1 p.m. It's 1:12 p.m. and the place is starting to fill up immediately. I love how when you order something, the camarero immediately writes down what it is that you've ordered. They'll go ahead, add that up, and that'll be your bill.
Dame media de la pavía.
Their croquetas are renowned. Traditional jamón croqueta. But I am so excited to see what this tastes like. You can already see the bechamel squeezing out of the croquette. Oh my goodness. It's like all bechamel. Buttery bechamel sauce. Wow. All right, so here we have the pringa. This is a classic montadito sandwich here. It's a pate of different meats of the pork, including chorizo, and I pretty much think it's like the leftovers of the kitchen from the pork that day. They make them into a pate and put them in a sandwich. It's piping hot. It looks really, really good. That's excellent. It's like scraping the bottom of a pan of like fresh baked lechon, where you have the juices, the oils, leftover pieces of the pork sitting there at the bottom of the pan, all that flavor and concentration. That's what the pate tastes like. And the bread is so crunchy, toasty. Look at that beautiful crust in there. Crispy all throughout. It's been able to absorb the juices from the pate. Wow. This exact location's been open since the late 1800s. The main decor of the place is dedicated to Holy Week or Semana Santa, that is highly revered and celebrated in this area. You see icons of the Maria Santissima all over the walls. When we walked in, there was incense on. It smelled like a chapel or a cathedral. Woo! Wow, what a starter to the day. That place is an experience. Oh my God, it's so hectic in there. Those waiters, they are on it from the second the clock hits 1 p.m. Wow. A lot of places don't get busy right when they open. This place is not one of those. They open at 1 o'clock, get here, and it's gonna look empty. Within 5-10 minutes, it's gonna be slammed. Get here early, get your spot at the bar, and you'll be good to go. Gracias. Okay, as you can see, this place is very different from where we just were. A more romantic, quiet, intimate atmosphere than where we just were. It was so hectic, crazy, energetic. But places like this get more busy around 2 o'clock. A lot of people go and they have their opening aperitifs at bars like Casa Ricardo and then come here for a little bit more of a heavier meal. This is already one of my favorite places in the city. I've been here once before and I had something so delicious that I had to come back and have it with you guys. So from the second you walk into this place, it kind of looks like you're walking into somebody's home, but also kind of like a store, a little grocery store. And that's for a reason. This place is called Antigua Abacería de San Lorenzo. What abacería means is actually grocery store. And not just any grocery store, it's a specialty purveyor. And back in the old days, places like this used to be specialty purveyors of essential food items that residents used to come and buy their weekly essentials. Over time, places like this also became locations where you can eat the items that you purchase. This is a carrilla. It's pork cheek in a wine sauce of oloroso sherry sitting on top of a little bit of mashed potato. What I love so much about this is how much sauce comes in it and the soft tenderness of the pork cheek.
This is Iberian pork. Oh my God.
Por aquí el latiguillo.
Gracias.
Y que aprovechéis. Muchas gracias.
Oh, the meat is so tender, immediately falls apart. The herbs are so fragrant. The mashed potato on there's just a little bit of a soft potage, almost like a sauce in itself. And the oloroso sherry sauce is fragrant, aromatic. Look at that piece of pork cheek right there. As tender as you can possibly ask for it. Oh, the sherry cleanses the palate completely. So delightful. This dish even actually sweetens the sherry a little bit. Takes a little bit of that dry edge off of the palate on the sherry. Latiguillos. Sometimes on a menu you'll also see it as lagartitos, like little lizards or strips. Grilled pork meat, but this is the meat between the rib and the loin. So it's actually a very thin, long strip of the pork. I love how they put that flake salt on there. There's a delightful chewiness to it, but tender at the same time. Very different from the pork cheek. Not fatty at all, very lean, lovely grill marks. Has a beautiful dousing of olive oil on there, the salt, and then it brings some potatoes and un mojo picón. This is a red mojo. And it's made with different, I believe it's peppers, some tomatoes, some vinegar in there too. It's like halfway between a salsa and a spicy sauce. Complements this perfectly. I'll never get tired of that dish. That pork cheek is just amazing, and the latiguillos, incredible. Our waiter was telling us that the pork cheeks are not only cooked in sherry wine, but they're also macerated in red wine prior to cooking. That infuses that flavor into the pork cheek and just adds so much depth. I can't recommend this place enough. No reservation needed. I've been here twice already in the time that I've been here, and I already have a plan to come back one more time before we leave Sevilla. Crossing the Guadalquivir River on the Triana Bridge, heading into the neighborhood of Triana. This is a historic neighborhood here, and the actual residents that live on this side even identify themselves as Trianeros. It is a neighborhood with very, very strong cultural identity. This bridge itself is almost 200 years old, and for a very long time and very many years, it was actually a floating bridge held up by boats, and it was built during the Moorish era. As you're crossing the bridge, you realize that you're starting to step into a new neighborhood, a new place, another part of Sevilla. There's a place that I want to show you guys. Let's go. Buenos días. So this is your typical Spanish market. You can find everything from your fruits, vegetables, all your meats, provisions, seafood, as fresh as you can get it. Holy cow, I've never seen a cross-section of fish that big. Wow. Okay, I want to take you guys to where I like to get a little breakfast. It's right over here. All right, we're at La Casa Fundida, and this place is no frills. Look at this cup of café con leche. Delicious. These places, they have little dining rooms, so you can sit comfortably, have a nice meal, while you're enjoying the market or move on with your day. Super convenient. I love this type of cafeteria. You can get all your classic Spanish breakfast staples. The tostadas is what they call them here, with different toppings. You can get your café con leche that comes with your tostada here, but you can also get a glass of wine, a sherry, a beer, it doesn't matter. Extremely informal, and the food is always really good. So here's the tostada de aceite y tomate. Literally tomato, olive oil, and bread toasted. It is so simple. I love this breakfast. The tomato, grated, fresh, not cooked. So you taste that fresh tanginess of tomato, sprinkled with some Spanish olive oil. The bread is fresh. They deliver these breads every single morning. A staple of food markets in Spain are the pincho stalls, small snacks often served on skewers. This stall specializes in pickled pinchos and variations of the classic gilda, a pincho made of anchovy, olive, and guindilla peppers. This one specifically has black olives, boquerones, which is a white anchovy, the guindilla peppers, and a red pepper. Those pickled peppers, the olives, and then you have a little bit of a sweetness from that boqueron. This is the white anchovy, so it's a little bit sweeter, a little less pungent, I guess you could say. This one, I know it's gonna be pungent, just a punch of flavor. The olives. Now you have the traditional anchovy, that briny, seafoody anchovy, and then a block of cheese. So incredibly bold. This is not a flavor combination for the faint of heart. Do you hear that sound? That's the sound of Triana. Flamenco lives here. It's the soul of the neighborhood. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon, and all the flamenco studios are full with classes right now. Here in the heart of Triana, we're at a restaurant called El Sella. It's a traditional Asturian restaurant, which is from Asturias up in the north of the Iberian Peninsula. So I just love that although we're all the way in the south of Spain, almost on the coast, we still are able to have the beautiful traditional foods of the north of Spain. We asked for a cider to start, and it's already bringing me back to being in San Sebastián, just along that Bay of Biscay. This is a natural cider. It's a 6% alcohol beverage. You put your cup in here, and then you press this button. And that's it. It's actually supposed to be a short pour, extremely, just basically a sip of cider. The savory apple flavor, just perfectly carbonated on the slightest bit. It's almost like it's really just coming out of the keg itself. This is so innovative. It's such a great idea. And I love how you have even just like the little cup holder part where you can have your glass sitting in there. In San Sebastián, the way that they pour it to get this effect is they pour it all the way up high. They hold the bottle like out here and the cup down here. And you see just people pouring this. It gets on the floor, it doesn't matter. But the point is that it's a short, agitated pour. So you get that carbonation that you want. The fabada asturiana, it is an Asturian bean soup. And just look at these large white beans with the chorizo, jamón, morcilla, in a beautiful red broth. The scent coming off of this is just, oh my gosh. You can imagine, we've been here in Seville almost a month. The soups are predominantly cold here because of how hot it gets. Asturias gets really cold. So you have this beautiful casserole soups full of flavor. It's really hot. 1 second. Wow. That smoky flavor from the sausages, the ham hock, are just undeniably iconic of northern Spanish cuisine. Sitting in those beans that are so soft, it almost turns into just a bean potage. Totally disintegrating this broth. Oh my gosh, the fat of the meat. Morcilla is blood sausage, and honestly, it's not really something I like to eat, but in this soup, it just seems right.
but the flavor that it imparts in anything you put it in is just spectacular. Wow. That's one of the best blood sausage I've ever had. It's a little bit spicy, has a lovely saltiness to it. Oh my gosh, almost like just like this potatoey nature, like a chorizo practically. Look at this beautiful chunk of jamón in there. Now I'm realizing a lot of the flavor is coming from the morcilla, because the over-encompassing flavor of that smoky, beautiful is the taste of the morcilla just concentrated. Oh, so smoky. It feels like the only salt put into here is through the sausages and the ham hocks that you put in the soup, because the soup itself is not very salty, but it has so much flavor. And it's just because it's had time to infuse those sausages, the chorizo, the morcilla, the ham hock, to flavor this appropriately. All right, here we have maybe one of the most beautiful, simple dishes I've ever seen. Small scallop a la plancha with a salsa verde. I feel like Little Mermaid eating out of a shell like this. It's the ocean. It's the ocean in a shell. The sweet scallop, it's so fresh. The salsa verde has that parsley flavor. It's a little bit of oil. So good. Look how beautiful these shells are. I need to get one of these for the house. So our waiter was taking our order, and we ordered the fabada, and he asked us if we wanted bread. I said no. And in the true Spanish fashion, where they're brutally honest in the nicest way, he simply just said, oh, well, you know, ordering a fabada without bread is like putting on a suit without a tie. So I quickly changed my mind. He's right. Let's go in for another, but let's squeeze this lemon juice on top of there. Just gotta move it off the shell. It's just beautiful. All right, for the main dish, the cachopo.
It's a veal cutlet stuffed with cheese and ham, very similar to the French cordon bleu.
Sharp. The ham gives it a nice saltiness. The veal is soft and tender, and the breading is like almost like a beer batter crust breading on there. All right, the siphon only works to a certain point, and there's still a little bit in there, so we're gonna pour. So they brought us a little liqueur at the end of our meal. This one is the yerba. Oh yeah. It's like when you go to Croatia and you have a rakia. When you go to Greece, they also have these liqueurs, these kind of like finishing digestives at the end of your meal. Delicious. It's sweet, very alcoholic, which is why they give it to you in a little glass. I can't tell exactly what the flavor is, but it's delicious either way. As our time in Seville wraps up, I can't help but think how much I love this city. The flamenco, the people, the food, the traditions that you get to experience while you're here. It's just something that sticks with you and I'll never forget. After being here for a month, all I can think about is that I can't wait to come back and just spend more time in this city. It's impossible not to fall in love with Seville. I'll see you guys on the next one.